Good to have you with us at this hour. I'm Daniel Choy for Arirang News. Let's begin with the latest on the Middle East Respiratory Syndrome situation here in Korea. As of Sunday, there have been no new cases for 21 straight days. The health ministry says number of confirmed cases remain unchanged at 186. Same goes for the death toll at 36, with no additional fatalities reported for 14 days. 12 people are still hospitalized, while 138 have been discharged following complete recoveries. 11 of the 12 have tested negative for the disease. The Korean government is expected to announce a de facto end to the MERS outbreak this week. An official declaration will come later. President Park Geun-hye is set to take a 5-day summer vacation starting Monday, but she's not traveling at all. Her getaway spot will be none other than Cheongwade, the presidential office. Officials say she will have a quiet vacation reviewing current state affairs and will reportedly also continue working on ways to revitalize the economy, as well as her Liberation Day speech. This isn't the first time she spent her summer holiday this way. Last year, President Park did the same following April's ferry disaster that killed more than 300 people. The number of unemployed people in their 20s here in Korea has hit a record high. Young people struggle to find stable jobs, turn to part-time or temporary work, and then become unemployed again in just a few years. It's a sad and vicious cycle. Our Kim Min-ji takes a look at this unfortunate state of Korea's job market.
410,000. That was the number of unemployed people in their 20s in Korea during the first half of this year. It's the highest figure since relevant data began to be compiled in 2000. The figure stood at around 330,000 after the global financial crisis and then declined slightly in 2013. But overall, the number has been going up. Experts point to a slow economy as the main reason for the upward trend. But they also say employment conditions last year were quite favorable, and in fact the number of newly employed people rose by over 530,000 from a year ago, the highest jump in 12 years. Of that, 56,000 were in their 20s. Now, while that may not sound like bad news, among the 20-somethings that had found jobs, most of them were in temporary or part-time positions. Simply put, that means it will only be a matter of time before the same people have to go looking for jobs again. As of May, more than a third of people in the 15 to 29 age bracket who had jobs were working either in part-time or temporary positions. 1 in 5 also find similar kinds of jobs as soon as they're out of college. In order to reverse the trend, the government plans to lay out measures for tackling youth unemployment in the coming week. Kim Min-ji, Arirang News.
Let's move over to a different story now. Korea is preparing to eliminate tariffs on a host of high-tech products as part of a global trade deal worth an estimated $1 trillion. The Korea International Trade Association confirmed on Sunday a list of 201 IT products ranging from semiconductors to computer parts that would enjoy tariff relief under the WTO's Information Technology Agreement. Negotiators reached tentative agreement on the deal last week. Experts say the accord should benefit Korea, whose semiconductor and mobile phone sectors rank among the best in the world, by boosting exports. There are skeptics, though, who say Korea may not feel the benefits that strongly because it is already enjoying the advantages of lower tariffs after concluding FTAs with the U.S. and the EU. The global trade in IT products is worth about $4 trillion annually, and the deal would see tariffs lifted for goods that make up about a quarter of that. It looks like South Korean retail giants HTC, Silla Dutyfree, and Hanwha Galleria Time World are set to open their new stores in downtown Seoul much earlier than planned. The initial date was early next year, in time to welcome Chinese tourists using their Lunar New Year holiday to fly to Korea. But after waiting 15 years for a license to open duty-free stores, both companies apparently feel the need to speed things up. The blueprints are almost ready for the HTC Silla store in the iPark Mall at Yongsan Station. Set to be one of the largest duty-free shops in the world, it will be ready for business come December. Hanwha Galleria Time World plans to open its duty-free complex on the first basement level and floors 1 through 3 of the 63 building or 63 city on Yeouido Island in Seoul before December. More evidence proving Japan was close to developing a nuclear weapon during World War II has emerged. According to the Sankei Shimbun on Sunday, 2 blueprints for a centrifuge for uranium enrichment were among the articles left by a close aide of Bunsaku Arakatsu, the foremost nuclear scientist in Japan in the 1940s. Prior to this discovery, 3 notebooks from 1944 belonging to another Arakatsu aide, Sakae Shimizu, were found at Kyoto University. They contain handwritten notes on equipment to produce weapons-grade uranium. The institute, previously known as Kyoto Imperial University, was ordered by the Japanese Navy to study the feasibility of developing an atomic weapon. The project was hindered by chronic shortages of raw materials and constant disruption by air raids, and was ultimately abandoned in April 1945. Officials from South Korea, the U.S., China, and Japan related to the long-stalled 6-party nuclear disarmament talks continue to meet to try and bring North Korea back to the dialogue. But hopes of a breakthrough appear very slim. Our Na Young-kyung has this report.
The United States Special Envoy to the 6-party talks, Sidney Seiler, started a week-long trip to South Korea, China, and Japan over the weekend. Seoul says he's scheduled to hold meetings with South Korean government officials, including Seoul's top nuclear envoy Hwang Jun-guk, on Monday to talk about North Korea policy. Seiler will then fly to Beijing and Tokyo later in the week. Seiler's trip to Seoul comes after Hwang met with Chinese officials, including his counterpart Woo Da-wei in Beijing last week, where he reportedly asked for China's support in dealing with North Korea. Observers see Seiler's visit as part of Washington's efforts to build on the momentum of the landmark nuclear deal it struck with Iran earlier this month, but many doubt a similar kind of deal will be possible with Pyongyang.
It's totally illogical to even think about striking an Iranian-style nuclear deal with North Korea when the U.S. is constantly conducting large-scale joint military drills against the regime and posing the biggest nuclear threat.
Seiler's visit also comes after the U.S. blacklisted a Singapore-based shipping company over allegations it is supporting illicit arms shipments to North Korea. The U.S. Treasury has frozen the company's assets in the U.S. The firm has denied the allegations. With Washington trying to spur efforts to resume the 6-party talks aimed at denuclearizing North Korea, the question now is whether the related officials will make meaningful progress in the coming week. Na Hyun-kyung, Arirang News.
The chairman of South Korea's ruling Saenuri Party, Kim Woo-sung, has expressed his deep appreciation to the U.S. veterans who fought in the Korean War. Kim was on a 9-day visit to the U.S., gave a group of American war veterans and their families in Washington, D.C. a deep bow, explaining to them it's Korea's way of showing respect and gratitude. This was after he told a group of Korean reporters in D.C. that the U.S. is Korea's unrivaled and irreplaceable ally. Kim then pledged to work further to develop bilateral ties between Seoul and Washington. During his visit, which takes him to New York and Los Angeles as well, Kim is also expected to meet with U.S. congressional leaders as well as UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon to discuss North Korea policy. This year marks the 70th anniversary of Korea's liberation from Japan. At the same time, it's also been 70 years since the Korean peninsula was divided into 2 nations. As a symbol of hope for reunification, the metal fence that separates the South and the North has been transformed into a musical instrument. Our Won Ji-hyun gives us a closer look at this powerful artwork.
The cold wire fence that stands between the 2 Koreas. It's a symbol of hostility and division. But this year, the barbed wires were reborn into a symbol of peace and unification thanks to a joint project between South Korea's Unification Ministry and Jail Worldwide. Under the project, wires from the metal fence were used as strings in a grand piano called the Piano of Unification. And living up to its name, the piano can create a musical harmony that commemorates the 70th anniversary of the division between the 2 Koreas.
After playing the Arirang folk song on this piano, I was powerfully reminded of how it's the only tune that both South and North Koreans can sing together. I'm waiting for that day to come, when we can all sing together.
It took the team 3 months to collect the rusty wires from the demilitarized zone with the help of South Korea's frontline military units. The piano of Unification is currently on display at the Seoul Museum of Art, and it will be featured on stage at the upcoming choral festival on August 15th, or Korea's Liberation Day.
If people can sing along the tunes created by barbed wires that symbolize division, I think we can be a bit more optimistic about reunifying the two Koreas.
Won Ji-hyun, Arirang News.
In the world of sports, Korean golfer Jeon In-ji has become the first Korean woman to win a major in 3 countries, the U.S., Japan, and Korea, in a single season. The 20-year-old Jeon claimed victory in the Height Jinlo Championship in Yeoju, south of Seoul, on Sunday, finishing at 8 under. This follows her first LPGA major title win in the U.S. Women's Open in Pennsylvania earlier this month, and her title in the Japanese LPGA Tour back in May. After winning Sunday's match, she said she enjoyed playing with her fans cheering her on, plus she thanked her dad for allowing her to play golf. Jeon will now get ready to compete in the Ricoh Women's British Open set to kick off on Thursday in Scotland. And now for a quick look at the weather before we go. Fortunately, Korea felt little to no impact of Typhoon Halola as it weakens and veers off course. We can, however, expect showers nationwide Monday, but only around 5 to 30 millimeters of rainfall. It will also be humid, with the mercury rising beyond 30 in Seoul, Daegu, and Changwon. That's Korea for you. Here's a look at the weather conditions around the world. These are the stories we're following at this hour. Thank you so much for watching. Here's wishing you a smooth transition to your Monday.